We have a lot of different rooms in the EOC. We're in one of the conference rooms. We have like 3 conference rooms that we can use at any given time during activation. So a lot of times, like when we have to break out and talk amongst ourselves, because this room can get incredibly noisy, we go in one of the conference rooms, conference call, and we're doing meetings with the different agencies. Say, okay, what are we doing now? What's the strategy here? So this is one of our rooms, but this is the logistics and admin section room. So these are literally the folks that get us all the stuff that we need, whether it's water, whether it's tarps, whether it's road barriers or whatever we need. And then of course the admin and finance folks are the ones that make sure we can pay for it and get out the credit cards and charge the county cards for it. So this is one of our sections in the EOC. This is probably one of the smallest of the 2. You guys were all waiting in the policy room. That's where the deputy county mayors will meet and kind of make up our strategy in terms of the EOC, in terms of what we're going to be doing for countywide. This is the main room. So the EOC, this is what we call the operations room. And this is where the operations section meets. The way it's divided up, you'll see about 5 different tables in here. This table, of course, is the infrastructure branch. This is my branch. The middle table is the human services branch. The far table is the public safety branch. And then the back 2 tables back there are the municipal branch. The infrastructure branch is more or less making sure the power gets turned back on. ESF 18 sits at this table. They're coordinating with our private sector businesses. Human services branch they're dealing with in terms of mass care, sheltering, water, food, health and human services after disaster. And then the public safety branch is exactly what you would think. It's our law enforcement, our police department, the Coast Guard, the National Park Service, the rangers, the law enforcement rangers, and then you're fine. And then the back table is our municipal branch. So we have 7 divisional EOCs, and like I said before, we have like 35 municipalities within the county. We can't possibly have all of them in here. So what we do is we divide the county up in terms of 7 divisional EOCs. So those 7 EOCs represent several different other cities under them. So normally we orient it to say City of Miami is 1 divisional EOC, and they have some of the smaller cities under them. So those cities report to their EOC, and then anything they need from the county, they communicate through the Miami City EOC rep here. And they coordinate through that, and then we coordinate through them to say, make sure this goes out to the divisional reps, or the municipalities that are under you. Part of the infrastructure branch is actually part back there, so we have Port of Miami and MIA, or the aviation department, because we have several different airports, and only because we didn't have room on the infrastructure table, so we had to put them somewhere. But we have, like for the infrastructure branch, this is probably going to be more interesting for you guys, is business and industry. So the way it works is we have a number of different county agencies and also other organizations that represent us. So we have normally 1 person here during activation. It can be, it's either internal services, small business development. They'll send somebody. The Beacon Council will sometimes send somebody, but it's normally, internal services department, downtown development authority, or the Small Business Development Center at FIU. They're the ones that are principally responsible for staffing this position. The way it works is they can actually send information out to all the partners. That includes our private sector partners. And then the Alliance for Response, we have our own list server for them. So all they have to do is send out an email to the list server. They also have the committee members as well. So they're responsible for coordinating the Alliance Response. And then if any of the Alliance Response members have problems or questions, they can actually call the ESF 18 desk. So if they're having trouble getting their personnel back in after curfew has been issued, they can actually work with the ESF 18 desk here, and then they just have to walk across the way to the Miami-Dade Police Department's table, our desk, and say, hey, we're having a problem. Can you make sure that they get through the barricades that we have set up, or dealing with one of the divisional EOCs that have jurisdiction on that? So the way the room's set up, you'll see all the different screens up here. You actually see right now we have like just significant events board, but normally these screens will scroll through. So we have a number of different boards that project information. So we'll have information like the EOC timeline. We'll also have what shelters are open, what stores are open in terms of like grocery stores and pharmacies. Significant events normally refer to if we had an explosion or something, or we had some kind of secondary event that went on after the primary disaster, and it kind of gives you an idea of what the status is of EOC. It's an ability for us to quickly look and say, okay, this is what's going on. This is what we need to worry about. The front table is actually the operations section chief. So the section chief will sit up there as well as the aide. And then the front of these three tables is where the branch directors sit. So this is my desk I have 3 screens because I need them. Although normally the branch directors are not sitting very often. Usually we're running around quite a bit and going to meetings, or we have planning meetings we have to go to, or just coordinating with our agency. So a lot of times that it doesn't require us to be sitting. So we all have aides that are assigned to us, and they're like monitoring emails, and they're checking web EOC, make sure everybody's turning in their situation reports, and kind of fielding calls that are coming in for our branch directors, or for the branch directors. Up on here, and I forgot to turn these on, but these are actually map boards. So say if we're having a regular thing going on, or we have an event going on at Turkey Point, we can actually throw a map up on here to say where the evacuations are for Turkey Point. So it's a good reference for these folks to be able to look quickly and say, okay, that's zone A, we need to evacuate that area, and this is where that area includes. So any kind of map we need, we can actually throw it up on the board from the GIS room. So, and then of course, that side of the room has 4 different map boards they can pull from as well. The TVs, I don't usually turn the TVs on because they can be a little distracting, especially when Telemundo comes on and somebody's in the Viking hat, and we're kind of like, oh, what's going on there? But normally we have all the different news outlets on here as well, mainly local, but also national. Their volume is not turned on. Actually, what they can do is they can call on their phone. So you'll see the numbers up at the top, 6309. If I call in the number, I can actually listen to the audio for that phone. Mm-hmm. We try to keep the noise level down here as much as we possibly can. You'll see the phones, they'll have headsets. So they're always on their headsets. It just keeps the noise level because it can get really loud in here, so we try to keep it down as much as we possibly can. Some of the positions have actually radio, so they can call out. So if they have teams in the field, they can actually talk to the folks out in the field. Back over here, this is one of the rooms. This is the mayor's conference room. So when the mayor's here, he'll actually be here, and this will be his command center, where he'll meet with his key staff to make determination about what the county's action is going to be, come in for briefings. The commissioners actually have a room. It's right where you were coming into the building. They have their own room, so they'll come in on a regular basis and they'll get briefings about what's going on, what the county actions are, and then they normally go back out to their constituents. But they do have a room to come in and get adequate briefings, so they're informed about what the county's doing right now. And then going back over here, this is our GIS room. So you'll see a lot of computer screens. We can actually do printing up on here. Normally what we try to do is do everything electronically, but we can print out the maps if we need to. And then we can share those with other agencies we have. We have 2 online mapping, or we have actually 2 online mapping systems. We have Flipper, which is Florida, and I cannot remember the term. We tried to do Flipper versus Gator. So that was a regular thing that we were doing. But it's basically our GIS system specifically for emergency management. And we can project up on there. It's all online. There's a public side and there's the government side. And we can put up, our storm surge planning zones up, where hazardous materials being stored, where the county borders are, where the city borders are. It's a huge amount of information. And then also on our web EOC system, we also have a mapping capability up on that as well, so we can see where our pods are in relation to what the grocery stores and pharmacies are closed right now, which ones are open. So So we can kind of do a quick visual and say, okay, we need to close this pod because this grocery store is now up and operational as well. So this usually is a hum. We actually have a whole staff that comes in from the information technology department, and they actually staff this room. Normally, we have one staff member on for OEM that is our GIS coordinator, and she's actually liaison from IT. We actually grab her. She's here like 3 days a week normally. So she's actually an ITD employee, and then she's detailed to us in terms of providing any kind of mapping assistance. Because you can imagine for my job, mapping comes as part of our normal part of our job. We have to always include maps, and it's a good visual for our partners to know what's going on. Okay. And then back over here. You guys can come in. Nothing here is classified, so. This is actually our planning room. So when we're putting together the EOC situation reports, which if you're part of ESF 18, you'll see on a regular basis. This is where they actually put it together. They also do our incident action planning. So they're actually determining what our priorities and objectives are for every operational period. So operational period for us is usually 12 hours. And then these are the folks that determine what we're going to be doing for that point period of time. And the operations section is responsible for implementing that. So they're the ones that come up with the plan, and we're the ones that implement it out on the floor. But they also, maintain the common operating picture for the county. So they're always keeping us informed about what's going on in the county. If we have any other events going on, they're also coordinating damage assessment after disaster, so we can see how bad that was and whether or not we could potentially get federal disaster assistance or state assistance for it. So this is they all have their own room, and there's different sections within the planning section to include GIS, to include documentation, to include situation. But this is normally a beehive of activities. And usually the deputy incident commander and the incident commander are working out of here a lot of times because they need to be kept informed about what's going on. So any questions? That was kind of a basic thing. And then back out here, I'll show you. This is the press conference room. So actually, the way it works is the press will be off in this area. They're only allowed in this area, and they can actually the mayor's office will be doing their press conferences out here. They actually have their own offices in here. They'll do it in here, and then of course, a lot of times they like to do B-roll in terms of the EOC activities. And they'll regularly have cameras pointing out and looking at us, and then of course we can shut the blinds, say if we're having lunch and trying to get a bite to eat before we go back to work. We'll close the blinds and then we'll reopen them when we're back to normal operations. But they have instant connectivity. We actually have PIOs that are stationed in here with them, so they get the ringside seat in terms of what's going on in terms of the county and having access to our county officials and PIOs on a regular basis. So. Any other questions?
How many people are in here at any one time?
It depends on the level of activation we have. If it's a full activation, which means everybody's here, it can be 100 plus people, if minimum. I've seen an EOC go to maybe 150. It depends on how bad it is. Every time we have a really bad disaster, we get people coming out of the woodwork that we've never heard of before.
And are they here around the clock or shifts?
They'll do normal shifts. So right now I'm the infrastructure branch director for Alpha Shift. So I'll be here during the day. So I'm here usually from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then we have somebody come in from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. to cover for me. And normally during night shifts it's reduced, so we don't have everybody here. Depends on how bad it is. If we have it's really bad, then we'll have everybody here because we're still doing work after hours as well. But normally it's, even during the day, it's about maybe minimum 70, maybe 100 people total running around. So it gets really hot in here. We have a partial activation like we did for Erica. It's very minimum. Actually, we only had a couple of the agencies here and then our staff. So we have staff of about 17 people. And then we had a couple emergency support functions here with us, and that was probably about 10 people. So it was kind of minimum staffing, but it was enough to get the job done.